Hi, folks. This is an episode of WTF, but my colleagues are nowhere to be found.
No, we're here. I'm here.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Where are they? Oh, there they are, as if by magic.
There we go.
Yes.
Let's talk about Zoom, shall we? And let's talk about the technical people who make changes to things and don't tell us about those changes. We have to accidentally discover them ourselves, thinking, of course, it's our fault that stuff isn't working. Where are the other people in the Zoom meeting? So Zoom has become such a common method of communication, but there are ways of using it and ways of using it, and I think it's worth having a chat about the best ways of using it and the best ways of not to use it. So, Alan, do you want to kick off with this one?
Well, one of the things that we're finding with Zoom is they change the settings on us, and you go into some rooms where there might be 4 or 5 people on screen, but then you check the chat box and there's 20 people there, and you don't know they're there. So the settings on the Zoom have been set up so that it only shows those that are on camera, and everybody else is just hidden. That makes it really difficult if you're presenting and knowing, well, do I have a large group of people here? What's really going on? It makes it quite a real nightmare. And I think, Angela, you were saying earlier on that you've had that situation just recently yourself as well.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I was in a meeting and I thought, my God, I thought this person was there. I thought I admitted them into the room. Where are they? Because now it used to be that you would have at least a frame and it would have the name at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then you could see that somebody had just turned off their microphone and their video camera. But now the person completely disappears. There's absolutely no evidence whatsoever. So as soon as I turn my video off, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And so it makes it really difficult to actually, if you want to build a connection with somebody, how do you do that when you're talking into a black hole, literally?
Absolutely, and it's a bit like going to a face-to-face meeting and sitting in the corner with a black hood over your head or behind a curtain, because we can't see. We might be able to hear you, but we can't see you and we can't engage at all. And you're right. If you're doing a presentation on Zoom, it's nice to know that, I'll just put your things put something in the chat box. But it's nice to know there's more than 2 people there. There might be 20 people or 50 people, and you just don't know. And it's really disturbing to just be in that place of unknowing what real situation is.
And see, it seems to be a way a lot of people go to webinars and to meetings and everything, because they go in with their camera turned off. Now, I know the settings. I like to have my camera on from the moment I go in, but as you saw, there's a bit of blinking and moving around. That's the system itself that's not bringing it straight in. But when I go into a lot of people's meetings, they have it where everybody comes in with their camera off. Now, the trouble with that is if their settings are such that it doesn't show the people whose cameras are off, they've got no idea of how many people they've got there.
That's right.
Next thing you know, you've lost several minutes at the beginning of the presentation while the person's going, well, we've got people here. Who's here? What's happening? If you can't see, it really throws things out.
Yeah. I find it really difficult when I run a seminar online, and I pour my heart and soul into my workshops. I want to make sure that people who spend time with me get the maximum benefit. And then I see people, and I mean, people who have, yes, they have their camera turned on, but it's very clear that they're talking to somebody else or they're typing. And sometimes, they forget that they've got their sound on and they talk to somebody else, and it's very clear that they're absolutely not present. And it's this whole, we've talked about this before, and I think we're starting to repeat this ad nauseum. Attention management, and it's the whole busyness. I think we need to do a whole thing on busyness. But it's I can't focus on just one thing. I have to maximize my productivity. I have to do something else. And in Zoom meetings, we have way too many meetings. I get that. But instead of teaching people how to have effective, short and sharp meetings, people go, oh, it's another meeting. Turn off the camera, turn off the mic, and keep working without even getting the benefit of what is being talked about in the meeting.
The end result is you may hear some of what's being said, and if you do, or while you're doing something else, you're doing neither of those 2 jobs effectively. If you've
Absolutely.
turned your camera off and you're starting to do something else on another screen on your desk or whatever, and you completely switch off,
Yeah.
then why are you there in the first place?
Yeah.
That's just telling the person whose meeting you've come into, you have no respect for them whatsoever.
It's not important enough to
Yeah.
pay attention or to be present in every sense of the word. And so we've developed, I suppose, an etiquette around Zoom meetings and or meetings generally, but particularly on Zoom because of COVID, and we all found ourselves in the Zoom room. We're still there. So yeah, again, it comes back to active awareness, really, doesn't it? And what do I look like when I'm listening, even on screen? And the thing about being on screen, body language is, as you both pointed out, body language is really important on screen as well, because we think that we're not being seen, but people can read they can read if we're looking at our phones, or they can read if we're typing, or they can read if we're not paying attention. And so it always comes back to that awareness, self-awareness, and which we're losing through the whole use of IT and everything. So yeah, body language is really important, even on a screen.
It all comes back to that respecting the other person. Just think about it. If I was meeting with any one of you or any of our audience, and especially to our audience, if I was meeting you one-on-one at a coffee shop, I'd be paying you attention. I wouldn't be going through files. I wouldn't be chatting to other people. I'd be talking to you.
Right.
It shouldn't be any different on Zoom. You're putting your time in to be here. I'm also doing the same. So let's get the most out. We know that nobody, no matter what they believe, multitask. Because back in my technical days and everything else, multitasking was what we call time division. And especially when you're doing different tasks, you're using your left, right, and right side of your brain. So you're switching backwards and forwards between the two. That switching time takes time. It takes focus off what you're doing. So your productivity drops immediately. And so be present with the person. Let them know you're there. A lot of people will turn their microphone off, and you see them on screen. They turn sideways and they're doing something over here, looking in another direction. And you know they're not taking any attention. Go to a networking do. Everybody's talking about who they're looking for, who they want to connect with. And when the person's talking, they're present. And then as soon as they finish that, and the next person goes to talk, they're looking off in another direction. So you know they're not listening to anybody else.
Yeah.
The thing is, you're asking that other person to do referrals and connections for you, but you don't even have the courtesy to watch the other person and listen to them to do the same thing back to them.
Yeah, it's interesting when you said, if you have a meeting in a coffee shop, if you were to have a meeting in a coffee shop with a colleague, but you took your laptop computer down, put it on the table, and it's really discourteous, and you just wouldn't do that. And the difference between meeting face to face and meeting online, that there shouldn't be a difference other than the technology to facilitate the meeting. For God's sake,
That's it.
The same.
Absolutely.
Courtesy apply, yeah.
And I think because things keep changing with Zoom, the message here is to also make sure that you check out the recent settings, know what's actually happening. Be observant when you go into other people's meeting rooms. It's like Angela had pointed out, I hadn't seen it on the ones I was on because obviously their settings were different. Their camera just went off and I could still see them sitting there. I'd see their name if they didn't have a picture behind it. But in some of them, the person just disappears off the screen totally. You don't even know they're there.
Yeah.
And the point is, we don't know. Until it happens, we don't know that it's going to happen. Zoom, whoever runs Zoom, has changed everything without telling us. So
you just got to keep on top of the settings on all the systems that we're using. That's the main thing, is making sure that we check through all of that.
Well, the fact is, let me just allow me to use something here. We're being robbed of our attention and our focus. So let's just please, and I'm just getting rid of that again. Oops. I think it's important that we stay present with each other. And just because we're on another side of a screen and there's distance between us and there's so many things to do and we are busy all the time, that doesn't mean that we can multitask and just get into the space of, well, it's not a relationship, it's just a task. It is a relationship. And let's just remember that. So talking about that, let's continue to build bridges of respect, one conversation at a time. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Chris Willems. Thank you, Dr. Alan Stevens. You are my honorary doctor, because you have so much knowledge. And me, Angela Heise. Join us next time.